Taiwan, I'm Joyce with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Chaos has spread across the globe after a computer system update failed, stranding millions of travelers and raising cybersecurity concerns. Harrell Hughes tells us more.
That screen is not normal.
The blue screen of death, an image that instills panic in computer users. It means a system crash, and in this case, it's global. It was caused by an update by cybersecurity company CrowdStrike, affecting Microsoft Windows systems across the planet, disrupting banks, supermarkets, stock exchanges, hospitals, and even news stations. Air travel was hit immediately, with more than 5,000 flights canceled around the world.
頭先啦，我先知道係個系統癱瘓晒，然後即係你話全球性啊嘛，又我就先知嗰度自助機咧都用唔到，又呢度就塞住咗。
The issues in the airport is, I think, the DigiYatra is not working. A lot of us have gotten so used to the seamless, contactless transition into the airport. I see long queues now. I think it's going to take me at least 45 minutes, 1 hour to get into the airport.
Taiwan's largest airport was also affected, leading to delays. And the country's hospitals had to switch to manual check-ins for patients. But the crash did not last long. CrowdStrike has already rolled out a solution, and most systems are back to normal. But the impact of the outage could be much larger.
The impact probably can affect the trust that users have, both in technology in general as a supporting system and specifically in anti-malware technology.
The shutdown is thought to be the largest IT outage in history. As systems come back online, the focus is now shifting to whether the responsibility of global cybersecurity is in too few hands. Luffy Lee and Harrell Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan says 4 Chinese Coast Guard ships intruded into restricted waters near the outlying islands of Kinmen. Taiwan says it issued several radio warnings to the Chinese vessels, many of which were ignored.
呼叫中国海警14604，中国海警14604，这里是中华民国海巡署 PP 183型广播。
This is the 3rd time this month Chinese vessels have breached restricted waters in Kinmen. It's part of a pressure campaign from China to wear down Taiwan's military and law enforcement resources. The outlying islands are vulnerable to these kinds of tactics as they are very close to China. More people in Taiwan are trying to learn how to defend their country in the event of a Chinese attack. Louise Watt is in Hualien, where one civil defense class is being held with a difference.
Dozens of people from indigenous congregations have come here to Taiwan's eastern county of Hualien to learn how to defend their communities from a Chinese attack. A workshop organized by the Taroko Presbyterian Church aims to teach people from indigenous areas of eastern Taiwan how to draw up safety plans and where to find resources if disaster strikes.
透过中国对我们的这种武力或者是有一些威胁性的时候，其实我们要站起来，我们要一起来守护台湾。
More and more Taiwanese have signed on for civil defense courses in the wake of Russia's war on Ukraine, worried its own huge neighbor China could attack Taiwan. While most privately run civil defense courses in Taiwan focus on individuals, teaching them skills such as first aid, this one is targeting communities. The idea is after this is over, everyone will go back home, share what they've learned, and then together work out how they can make their communities more resilient. Devon Tsai and Louise Watt in Hualien for TaiwanPlus.
One of the world's largest emergency response drills, simulating how to recover from a hurricane, has wrapped up in Hawaii. It was part of the RIMPAC exercises, which brought together personnel from 29 countries. But Taiwan, a nation all too familiar with natural disasters, is not there. Jaime Ocon explains.
It's a race against time for these soldiers as they respond to a simulated natural disaster. This drill is part of RIMPAC, the world's largest multinational maritime exercise, which takes place every 2 years in Hawaii. In this scenario, the make-believe country of Griffin has been hit with a catastrophic hurricane. Now militaries from Peru, Mexico, Japan, and the U.S. are trying to gauge the extent of the damage.
They're government officials, and they've informed us of some of the situation of what they know, their assessment of damage. The ports and airports being shut down, power supply, water supply. They are now in the process of requesting specific asks of us, which in the beginning, as the Admiral mentioned, starts with saving lives.
In the first few days, hundreds of soldiers begin rescue operations and move equipment into place, paving the way for recovery efforts. This command center was set up in just a few weeks to respond to this simulated hurricane that hit this fake country. And so what the goal is here is to work with other countries to provide food, aid, and relief, disaster relief, to the people affected. This specific drill is led by Japan, which is frequently affected by disasters like earthquakes and tsunamis. But the commanding officer here says Japan's experience alone is not enough, and a disaster like this only emphasizes the need for cooperation.
In this security situation, including a natural disaster or something, we cannot work alone, and we cannot respond alone. If we are thinking of this fact, we have to cooperate and collaborate amongst a lot of the countries.
But one country that has decades of experience in responding to natural disasters isn't here: Taiwan. The U.S. says Taiwan was not invited to this drill in accordance with Washington's One China policy. But Taiwanese officials say the country's recent handling of a magnitude 7.4 quake is reason enough to include the island nation in these kinds of humanitarian drills, especially if Taiwan's capabilities are up to UN standards.
那也正因为台湾是一个灾害好发的地区，我们更应该要加强我们因应灾害应变的这个准备。那所以我们把搜救队我们也跟国际接轨，也把联合国的这个搜索救援的这个标准也引进来台湾。因为所谓救灾没有分国界啦。
When asked about the need to include countries like Taiwan in these drills, U.S. officials had no comment. Instead, they say that when disaster strikes, the goal is to save as many lives as possible, regardless of political issues.
And it's in the interest of all countries in the area to do that. We do that through cooperation, and hopefully cooperation short of any kind of conflict. Humanitarian assistance is where we have the capabilities and capacity to be able to assist our friendly nations near us.
After roughly 3 weeks, Japanese and U.S. officials say this drill was a success. But Taiwan's lack of involvement shows that there's still gaps in the international disaster response effort. Andy Xue and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. says it will do what is necessary to support the Philippines in resupply missions in the contested South China Sea. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan made the comments at a security forum. He was referring to missions in the second Thomas Shoal, an area claimed by both Manila and Beijing. Clashes in the South China Sea between the Philippines and China have been escalating over the past few months. Sullivan said the U.S. is bound by a mutual defense treaty with the Philippines.
We've made clear that it applies to public vessels in the South China Sea. And so China well understands our view of the application of the Mutual Defense Treaty should that line get crossed. That's an important point. We believe it is a stabilizing point, as one we have reinforced publicly and very much reinforced directly to the PRC.
At least 11 people are dead and 30 missing after a bridge collapsed in Shanxi province in northwestern China. The bridge collapsed Friday night after a sudden downpour and flash floods. At least 20 vehicles fell in the water. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for all-out rescue efforts. Northern and central China have been hit by extreme levels of torrential rain and flooding over the past several weeks. Hundreds of students in western India have taken to the streets in solidarity with student protests in Bangladesh. Students in Kolkata and New Delhi are calling for an end to Bangladesh's newly reinstated job quota system. They're also marching in support of students impacted by the violent government response. Some Indian protesters were detained as they made their way to Bangladesh's embassy in Kolkata. They have since been released. Around 8,500 Indian students study in Bangladesh, while another 15,000 Indians live there. A cram school in southern Taiwan has been forced to close after it was found to still be recruiting students despite the school's head facing sexual assault charges. The Pingtung government tore down its signage to ensure other parents wouldn't enroll their children at that school. Earlier in April, the owner of the cram school was charged with sexual assault, leading to the school's license being revoked in May. The government has urged parents to be more vigilant in choosing cram schools and to watch out for signs of distress from their children that could indicate abuse. 2 green sea turtles have been found dead on a beach in northeastern Taiwan. Officials say the turtles had plastic waste in their stomachs, and that was probably the cause of death. The turtles were spotted by beachgoers who reported it to authorities. Officials remind the public not to touch beached turtles and to pick up their trash when at the sea. Performance groups from Taiwan are set to take the stage at the Cultural Olympiad held alongside the Summer Games in Paris. Our reporter Sandy Chi met one band to learn how they'll bring a taste of Taiwan to the world.
Performing with a mix of languages, instruments, and musical styles. This band is telling the tales of some of Taiwan's biggest legends. This is A-Root, a band from Taiwan established in 2015. They'll perform at the Cultural Olympiad this summer in Paris, where 120 artists from Taiwan will showcase the country's artistic talent to the world. A-Root's forte, telling folk tales with music.
台湾其实本来就有非常多丰富的民间传说跟妖怪的故事，但是我们好像那时候发现比较少人用，在传统戏曲界很多，可是用相对比较流行的方式去呈现，好像比较少。
Telling stories through music is not easy, especially when combining very different elements.
在创作的过程里面，把多方的想法整合聚焦在一起，然后要说什么样的故事，我觉得这件事情从发想到执行上是相对来说比较困难的。
Over the years, A-Root has attracted many fans with their unique performances. Some have gone above and beyond, attending almost all their shows in Taiwan.
让我们更了解台湾的一些我们原本根本就没有听过的传统故事，然后更认识台湾的文化。
比起现在很多流行歌来说，它有一种文化传承的意涵，所以我非常的喜欢这样。
It may be a bit difficult to understand A-Root's stories, as they're told in several languages, like Mandarin, Taiwanese, Hakka, English, and Japanese. But that doesn't stop people from enjoying the music.
因为我觉得音乐就是不分语言，虽然我们用了很多语言，但其实音乐本身就是一种语言。
With their unique vibe and captivating performances, the band is helping bring Taiwan's traditional stories to a new generation. Alex Chen and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, we leave you with images of pandas from China settling in at their new home at the San Diego Zoo. I'm Joyce. Take care and see you next time.